Hi aspirants, welcome to VISHNU IAS Academy. As we have already discussed about COP27, I have already told in that video that in order to understand what is a implementing COP or a COP27, one should have a clear understanding regarding Paris Agreement. And many of you have personally messaged and also commented in the video saying that please discuss Paris Agreement. Here are we with a few basic points that are related to Paris Agreement. So what is a Paris Agreement? It was signed in the year 2015. It is mainly about combating climate change. As I have already told, nothing, all these agreements and conference of parties is everything about climate change. So when you write about a Paris Agreement, it is mainly speaking about climate change and how to combat it. See, I have seen this statement and this has made a huge impact on me. So I thought I would pick this statement and let you people know about this statement. See, it may seem a small change in temperature, but this can mean a big difference for the earth. See, this small statement itself shows how world countries are reacting to the climate change and what are they coming up. It may seem very small, when we say that we are coming up with solar energy, some gigawatts of solar energy or something, it might seem small, but you have to start somewhere in order to make a big difference. So I think this statement has made a huge impact. So I have picked this statement and wanted you people to note it down. You can use these statements in your essay and you can use them in your environmental answers introduction, or you can use them as part of your solution. So I thought this would be great. So next, when we know about Paris Agreement, what are the aims of Paris Agreement? See, whenever you know about an agreement or a convention or anything, you first need to know what is their aim. What are they trying to convey? They are trying to convey to us. So here what Paris Agreement is speaking about. Paris Agreement is all about three major things. What are the three major things? Global temperature below 2 degrees Celsius above the pre-industrial level. So they are talking about certain targets that are to be reached by 2000, a particular year, 2100. So what are they speaking about? The target is to have three things. One is to reach temperature below 2 degrees Celsius above pre-industrial level. If possible, limit the temperature increase further to 1.5 degrees Celsius. And next, strengthen the ability of the developing countries, or for that matters, party countries, to combat the climate change. When they are speaking about this point is very important. This Paris Agreement speaks about strengthen the ability. Every country in the world does not have the ability to, fight the climate change. So developing countries need to be given, hand by developed countries in order to, pick them up and, have a level playing field in order to combat the climate change. So this Paris Agreement speaks about these three aims. And what was the next thing? Greenhouse gases emission reduction. They are speaking about one thing, that is a time frame between 2050 to 2100. So by this time, what should be the emission of the greenhouse gases should be standing at? Greenhouse gases emission should be in that, in that manner, in that level where Earth should be in a position to, rejuvenate itself. That means the amount of emission should be equal to the absorption rate of the Earth. So this is what Paris Agreement is speaking about. By what time? 2050, it should be at that stage. And every country should be evaluating itself on their own, and every 5 years, all the participant countries will be evaluated on the parameters, how the emissions are going on and everything, and they should be coming up with the solutions by themselves, and they should level up their emission reduction process. What is the next thing? The Paris Agreement is also speaks about something called climate finance. Climate finance is something that every country might not be at that stage to deal with the, at that stage to deal with the things that are thrown by the climate. The climate change will be very harsh, and that can't be dealt by the countries that are developing as of now. So you have to create something called as climate finance in order to assist the developing countries, because the climate finance is one such concept, that shows the equality article 14. You can relate it to this. So next thing is bottom up approach. Paris Agreement is one comprehensive climate agreement till date that will be dealing with bottom up approach. Bottom up approach is something like they will be planning at the local level to gain the global results. Agreements before this are like top to bottom approach. Next, when we see the Paris Agreement is a successor agreement to Kyoto Protocol. Kyoto Protocol is something signed in 1997 and Paris Agreement in the year 2015. So what are the major difference? Paris Agreement is legally binding, Kyoto Protocol is not legally binding. It is the 21st session of COP and Kyoto Protocol is 11th session of COP. So when these are the major differences. I'll make a separate video on Kyoto Protocol because I have already told you among the conference of parties there are few important conference of parties sessions that are that can be asked potentially as a question. So Kyoto Protocol is one such thing and Paris Agreement. Paris Agreement will be completing in this video and Kyoto Protocol is something that I would be discussing it in the next video. So these are the major differences that are present between Kyoto Protocol and Paris Agreement. So next we see what is one most important thing in Paris Agreement is nationally determined contributions. Nationally determined contributions are voluntarily, countries will be coming up with their targets to reach the global target. Okay, their targets are set in sync with the global targets. Nationally determined contributions, regularly report will be given on this. This is one such thing which is very important, and when you write about Paris Agreement, an evaluator must be looking for this NDC. And next, when we come to India's participation in Paris Agreement, see something, whenever you read something international, you always have to correlate it with India's participation. So what is India trying to do with Paris Agreement? So emissions intensity reduction of its GDP by 33 to 35% by 2030 from 2005 level. See, these are the numbers that you need to remember because this is a commitment by India. Next, additional carbon sink of 2.5 to 3 billion tons of carbon dioxide by 2030. This is something that India wants to do. By what way? Carbon sink by planting trees and increasing the forest cover and all that. Next, India should be anchoring all the tropical countries in production of solar energy and all that India is willing to do. So these are the three things that India has put forward as part of its commitment as for the Paris Agreement. Next thing is that, so here I wanted to mention something. See, criticism of Paris Agreement. What happened is UNFCCC, COP, as I have already told, Conference of Parties is, the decision making body of UNFCCC. UNFCCC itself has told something that even if 197 countries plus EU, all of them come together, even if they follow all the set targets, they are not going to reach the goal that they have set because emission intensity is that pace and countries are doing very little to reach the target. So even if all 197 countries put together, what are they doing right now will not be enough to reach the targets that I have already told. And one important thing is country like USA. USA has been a part of Paris Agreement, and then Trump administration came, they have pulled out of Paris Agreement, and then Joe Biden's administration came in, then they have come into the Paris Agreement. See this instability and the pace at which the emissions are, see the pace at which we are taking the solutions forward, pace at which emissions are taking place, there's a huge gap in between. So what UNFCCC felt is, there is no match between what is happening and what needs to be done. So we can't reach the targets. This is the criticism that Paris Agreement as of now is facing. So when you read COP27, it is about implementation of Paris Agreement. So in order to understand COP27, that is a basic understanding that I have given in another video. So if you want to understand what is going on in COP27, you should understand what is Paris Agreement. So I have made this video. See, in order to have more videos like this, I'll be making the next video as Kyoto Protocol, because these are the important protocols that you need to be covering, because environment is all about the present happenings and the steps we take to safeguard it. So I will be making a next video on Kyoto Protocol. Whoever have watched this video, please do subscribe, and if you have any doubts, please mention it in the comments. We'll be taking up the doubts very shortly, and thank you for watching this video.